Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Well, it's a good time to start on this job. It's 18 degrees out here in the shop. It's 26 and 1/4 inches. Let's see, let's go from the inside there. 26 inches. I've got a flange here of 1 5/8, and this is 1.5 by 2 inches. Interesting thing to note, I went to Alro Steel and I was just going to buy some angle iron for this job. And over the years, well, more than just a few years, I was buying steel at Phillips Steel. Couldn't think of the name for a minute there. Phillips Steel down in Coldwater when I was 12. Because we needed stuff to make go-karts and mini bikes and projects in the workshop. And Phillips Steel always had a thing where if you went in and said, I need a piece of steel 1 foot long of some shape or just a square plate or whatever, and said, do you have any drops close to that? And they would say, sure, let's go see. And they go out back because they sold steel. You know, it was a company that bought and sold steel, and they would take an order in for, say, angle iron like this, and the people might want to have 10 feet of angle iron. Well, 10 feet is half of a full-size stick. It's usually 20 feet, 21 feet roughly. That's a standard size for angle iron. That's where it comes. That's how long it is coming from the mill. Easy to handle that size. And they would cut 10 feet off, and whatever was left, 11, 12 feet, it was the drop. And if somebody said, well, I'd like to have 2 pieces 10 feet long, there'd be a foot drop left on the end of it. And you could buy that foot for basically scrap price because it wasn't any use to them. They couldn't sell it. They didn't want to have to store a whole lot of little clip-ins of steel just on the hope that somebody will come in and buy that exact piece. So they had scrap iron that they bought and sold too. Well, you could go in and say, I'd like to have a drop if you've got one that size. And they would go out and look and say, well, we got one 2 foot long, but we'll sell it to you for this, which was usually less than 1/3 the price of new. Well, I went to Alro Steel, and a piece of this size angle, well, it was actually 2 by 2 by 3/16. This is 2 by 1.5 by 1/4. And they wanted $28 for a 3 foot length. $28. You go into Tractor Supply and try and buy a piece of bar stock, or Menards and try and buy a piece of bar stock. It's crazy money. So going to Alro Steel and buying it off this huge rack of offcuts, all sorted as to size, and it's not just a pile of stuff on the floor. You can go to Padnos. Padnos is a scrap dealer here in Michigan. I don't know if they're anywhere else, but I know there's at least 2 places in Michigan. One in Kalamazoo and one in Lansing. I've been to both. They just have a huge pile of this stuff. You know, it comes in a truck and they dump it, and then they pick it up with a magnet and sell it off as by the pound scrap iron. You can go in there and buy any piece, and they'll weigh it up for you and charge you scrap iron price, and a little bit of money on top of that for them having it. And it's a good deal. So instead of paying about $80 for these 2 sections of steel that I bought, one's close to 8 feet tall, 8 feet long, because I've got it laying against the rack over there and it's almost touching the top. and this one's about 6. So I got 2 pieces, let's say 14 feet long altogether, and I got it for 40 bucks. Whereas I would have paid $28 for a 3-foot piece. I think $28. I got a picture of the price tag. I'll put it into the video. So if you're in the business of buying and selling things made out of steel, and you got to buy steel, you might want to think about drops. Now, if you're buying full-size pieces and you're making houses, obviously Andrew Camarada doesn't care about buying drops. He buys sheet steel. He buys I-beams. So if you're in that business, probably not worth it for you. You've got your own drops. But guys like me with a little shop, yeah, drop is a big game changer. Saves you a lot of money. Okay, let's get this thing set up to cut 26 inches long. And we'll let my little robot saw here cut it off. Measure twice, cut once. Perfect. And there's one. Now I've got 2 pieces to go across this way, and I want to have 2 pieces going vertically on either side of the door frame. So let's see what I can do here. I don't think these sides are strong enough to hold that. Well, at least this will give me an idea where I want to put the holes. Yeah, I'm going to be able to pull that front wall up flat. What I'll do is drill into this plate. I'll put clearance holes in this and drill tacked holes into this plate. It's heavy enough to hold at least 1 thread. And I can put a nut on the inside of the thing and tighten it on up. I should probably just drill clearance holes in there. Put nuts on the inside and draw that up. That'll let me pull this whole thing in equally and even. Once I get that up where it belongs, I can fasten that down, bolt it down solid, then do the same thing on the bottom. Once I get the bottom and the top on where they belong, I can cut the sides, cut the piece for here and here. Drawing this up, that'll reinforce that front plate. This is welded across the top here, so it's actually got some pretty stout reinforcement on it because it's a round top on the burner, or on the burn box. It's probably 1/8" steel. But I'll be able to fasten that up. That should work. Okay, now I gotta clear out and set up the drill press.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union without the express written permission of the parents or the legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.